We got a good one. 8.5. Hey there, Clear Lake peeps. Ross England here with Clear Lake Guide Service. Hope you enjoyed that little opener. We just don't share pictures as much as we used to of fish catches. We're a real big believer in just catching them and letting them go. And a lot of times that letting them go part is letting them go before we take a picture. But every once in a while we catch a few fish, and that's one of a couple of better fish that we have caught in the last week and a half. So hope you enjoyed that. Okay, so March 28th, 2024. Here we go. I'm going to change it up a little bit. Upcoming activities. There's a big kayak event going out of Lakeport on Saturday. It is, I don't know to say, let's just say that all the information that I have seen is pointing towards Clear Lake Outdoors in Lakeport. So I know they're having some kind of a little event there, but sounds like it's going to be a pretty good size event. So that's what's going on. And it's, as far as I can tell, it's the only permit that was pulled for this weekend. And as we look ahead to next week, holy moly, got some really good weather, looking like it's finally going to show up. Don't know how long it'll last. Don't know if it'll be right, but if the forecast is right, it's going to be fun. We've got some, I think 3 or 4 days in the mid 70s with morning lows in the high 40s. That's pretty good, especially with what it's going to do to water temperature, which, by the way, water temperature pretty consistently the last couple days I was out started out at 56 and 57, and it never really got above that, at least where I was. So granted, I didn't get around the entire lake. I fished mostly on the upper end of the lake this past week, but that's what it was. Pretty consistent. It really wasn't a high and it really wasn't a low. It just stayed that way. Mornings have been cold the last couple days, and the afternoons haven't gotten above 50. I think yesterday 48 or 49 was the afternoon high, and some goofy things. So winter is still hanging on, just doesn't quite want to go away. So water clarity, a lot of wind from a number of different directions over the past week. And the water clarity, I use my creek as an example. With the rain that we got this week, Kelsey muddied up again a little bit. It clears up fairly quickly, but still, it's been 2 days of stained rainwater coming down the creek. I noticed when I drove to town today, Adobe kind of had a cloudy look to it. It wasn't brown, so it was clearing up. So I expect with a little bit of rain that we got today, those creeks are going to start clearing up pretty well and start producing some cleaner water out in the areas. Rodman's another story. I couldn't see, on the, we'll call it the south shore of the upper end of the lake. We found some water that we could see maybe 2.5, 3 feet over in the Rodman area, over on that north shore. The parts of it that I was in could only see about 1.5 feet. Some of it even less than that, maybe a foot. So watercolor is, you pick it, you can see it. I mean, I looked at Bob Tyler's video today, and his watercolor is a totally different color down there in the Keys than what it is up here. So there's your watercolor. Let's see. Watercolor, water temperature. Yeah, I think that's about it. Upcoming activities. Talk about the fishing a little bit. There's really not been that much of a change. It's kind of odd because You know, you still got people who are showing up, fishing hard, and not having any results to show for it. And then you have, you know, a few people who pop into the right place at the right time and maybe get 20 to 30 fish, you know, out of one or two schools. I'm still not one of those that has found one of those schools. But the last couple times that we've been out, we've been able to get between 8 and 10 fish a day. And honestly, some really good fish in the process. So we've kind of used a mix of baits. We've been using worms, you know, plastics, rip bait, swim baits. So those have probably been the three key things that we've been throwing. Traffic is starting to build up around the creek mouth areas, which you would expect. And I really haven't talked to anybody who's been down in the Redbud Arm. So other than one guy who ran all the way down to Canocti Bay from up here and fished a little bit and came away with one crappie. So that was about it. And speaking of crappie, getting a lot of phone calls, but I'm hearing that the crappie is kind of a minnow bite thing. And if you talk to the bait shops, they're selling the living bejesus out of crappie minnows. Probably this, you know, right now, they're selling the heck out of all minnows. But so apparently there's people catching crappie somewhere. I can tell you on this end of the lake, I haven't seen any, but let me back up. I did see somebody fishing for them the other day on top of Rocky Point. I didn't see him catch anything, and they didn't stay very long. So that's my report. A couple people have asked about, you know, if we see carp up shallow. I've seen in a couple of places, I've seen small schools of buffalo up in really shallow water, and I have probably seen over the last week and a half, 2 weeks, I've probably seen 3 carp that are up in shallow water. But you know, the water's not really a good color to be able to see them unless they're right on the surface. So I think that pretty much covers everything that I know to cover. So we will see you next week. And believe me, I'm really looking forward to a good week next week.